Today, I'm making a more detailed video on this idea I made, which is for a dog pen or any other animal you feel that you would want to use this for. In this video, I will go ahead and show you what tools I use, what alternate tools you could use if you don't have what I'm going to show you I used, and also the hardware and dimensions, and basically how I put it together. So go ahead and just sit back, relax, enjoy this video, and I hope that you'll be able to give it a like, give it a share, go ahead and subscribe, and leave a comment. Alright guys, now this is some of the tools that you could use to build this dog playpen. Alright, I'll just give you a little overview of what I have here. Now what I use to cut the 2x4s, I used a compound power miter saw, but you could also use one of these like type of skill saws, or if you don't have any power tools, you could just use just a regular saw. You know, that would work. It just takes a little more effort and time. Okay, and then to put the screws in, I used a drill with the drill bit, which is for a Phillips drill bit for the screws. I could use, of course, a screwdriver. I highly not recommend it because that would take forever. But also what I would suggest is always use a drill bit to make a pilot hole. Makes it a lot easier and prevents splitting, which is really good. You don't want to split the wood and have all kind of issues. Okay, and that's basically for cutting the wood. Now, what else we have here, I'll kind of explain, is when you put the mesh, the type of whatever fencing you want to use. This is like a 1/2 inch, if I'm not mistaken, 1/2 inch galvanized mesh. I believe it's galvanized. Got it at the hardware store. Now, what I picked out, and I'll explain why in a few minutes, that I picked a 48 inch tall, and it's in a roll, so I can't remember exactly how long the roll was, but as long as you make sure you get 48 inches or taller, but that's what I used. Okay, and the type of fasteners I use for the fencing is, now I used a couple of them, and you could see which ones you have or what you want to choose, and I'll tell you which one's better than others. But I used a Snell with a plastic like cap to it, and then I used I'm not sure what this is actually called, but it's one of those U-shaped nails, and then you use some regular nails, and I'll show you why this one's bent in a few minutes. And I also used staplers from a stapler gun. Now I used a power stapler that you just plug in. I mean, you can use a handheld one, but I'll tell you, sometimes they don't go all the way in. That's where the hammer comes in. But I highly recommend using a power one if you have a power one, or if you use those U-shaped nails or just regular nails, then that's when you use the hammer. Now, I'll explain this later, but you're probably wondering, why is there a tomato cage? I guess that's what those are called. Had those laying around here. I don't know why I bought it, but I like buying things that just, you never know what you can use it for later. And I'll tell you why. It's really pretty cool. Now you want to go ahead and use one that's actually pretty thick gauged wire, and I'll tell you that in a few minutes. Okay, and then to cut those, you want to use either like a bolt cutter, which I actually use, or you use one of those, I guess those are called hex saws, or you could use an angle grinder, but then put a cutoff wheel on there. You can use that. Okay, you might want to definitely have an extension cord if you can't work too close to an outlet, and of course measuring tape, and that's to make sure you could do your measurements. Now, these long nose pliers, I use that in case like some of those staples don't go all the way in. I had to pull it out, so that's what I use that one for. Okay, so just give you an idea what hardware you would use, and also power tools or non-power tools. Okay, now I'll go ahead and show you the playpen. Okay, now for the playpen, I used actually pallet wood. There's some pallets that were actually pretty long, which worked out great for me, but you could use normal 2x4s. I wouldn't advise you to buy new ones. Like, I mean, well, they're new, but Home Depot and I think Lowe's, they call it coal wood. You could get them really cheap. It's like, I know Home Depot, they have them for like 70% off their regular price, which is awesome. It's just like some have little knots in them, or maybe bowed a little bit. But find some that are pretty straight, you know, as straight as possible, because you want this to be straight. And if not, you know, try looking for some pallet wood and it'll work out great. Okay, so just give you a little idea of what I did here. And I have like a little list I'm gonna use. Now the boards, all of these boards are all the same size and dimension. I just put them together, and I'll show you what I mean. The top boards, which are right here, these are 72 inches long. And then the height boards, which are these are 40 inches high, or 40 inches long. And these cross boards right here, and I'll tell you how I made these out. These are 10.5 by 3.5. And of course I cut the edges here so it's nice and flush. So it looks, you know, it looks pretty good. Now that gives it support so that it's not, you know, it doesn't flex or anything like that, which is really good. It works out great. Okay. Now the screws I used, now this is the way I built it. I built it where I put the long board on top of the shorter board on the ankle side, so that it gives it, I feel that it gives it more support. I mean, I could be wrong. You guys could leave a comment if I should have done it the other way, but this is how I did it, and it's actually really sturdy, so that's what I did. And the screws I used for the top, for these, I used 3-inch screws, and did a pilot and did 3-inch screws, and those are exterior screws. And then these right here I did a 2.5, because I had those handy, so I just used what I had. So I really didn't have to go out and buy too much stuff. So these I used 2.5, and these were 3-inch screws, exterior screws. You want to make sure you get exterior screws, just so they won't rust or, I guess, break. Now, let me show you here. Now on the door, I'll give you more details. I'm just trying to make this video as quick as possible. The door, the inner board I did is 26.5 inches, and the reason why I did that is because I want to make it to where I was able to put a standard size push lawnmower through, so you could cut the inside area, and it's wide enough to really go in there. Now I didn't cut the top. I know some people might say, oh, why don't you cut the top, because you have to squat down, but then if you do it this way, it actually makes it more sturdy. If you cut the top, then it gets really, this will flex a lot. I mean, it might not, but I thought it might, and it's not that big of a deal to squat down here to, you know, go in and out. And that's what I did. I just put it inside there and just use regular, you know, handles, whatever you want to find, whatever's cheap, I guess. Now the locking hardware I use is this one, which it works pretty good. But honestly, what I would suggest is use something like this. Reason why, when it rains, it actually kind of shifted a little bit, because you know how wood, when it rains, it kind of moves, or I guess not warps, but whatever. But I had a hard time kind of closing this at first, but then, you know, it just takes a little bit of lifting and it goes through fine. But just let you know, that's one thing I would probably change. Okay, now this crossboard right here, that is actually 45 inches. But of course, you're gonna just, when you place it in there, you're gonna mark down where the angle is, and then you're gonna go ahead and cut the angle so it can fit in there to give it support for the door, so it doesn't sag. Okay, so again, this was 26.5, and this is 40 inches. Yes, and that's 40 inches that goes all around. Same as over here. That's 40 inches as well. So that's all the same. Okay, and I just put double braces there, and I'll show you the inside. Oh, and what I want to tell you is that I made this to where you have to actually push it inside, like that. Reason why, if the dog or animals try to push at the door, they can't, because the hinge that I put this way, it will keep it from opening. See, so that if they push it, it'll just keep on, you give it more support. So that's what I did. Just put 2 hinges, you can put 3, whatever you want to do, but that's what I did. Okay, now inside, this is what I'm going to show you. So I use some of staples, and then I use some of the nails with the caps. Now on the bottom, oh, here you can see too, I used the U-shaped nails. And I feel that the U-shaped nails actually work better. The staples were kind of hard. I mean, they went in nicely when they were soft enough, but then some of them didn't go all the way in, but the U-shaped nails, I think were great. These, maybe not, because this might start to wear and it might come apart, so I wouldn't suggest that one, but hey, if you have it, use it. And then on the bottom, what I did, those bent nails, those were the nails that came with the pallet wood. And what I did is that I tried putting in here and then bending it, nail it halfway and then bend the other part to cover it. You can use that, it'll work. If you want to go on the cheap, but let's just give you an option, okay? All right, and the reason why I picked 48 inches is because, see right here, this makes it dig proof, so that you let it hang, you go here, and then it curves. So you nail it to the top, then that was 40 inches. So this is 40 inches. So you have roughly about like 6 inches to where it hangs over this way so that the dogs or animals can't dig out, which makes it great. Because then if they try to scratch this and they get kind of deterred from scratching because it's going to hurt, that's it. And it just shouldn't hurt them. It's just just stays there to protect it from digging out. Okay. Now this part is what makes it really great. Now this is where I use the tomato cage. What I did is I used it to connect the boards together. And all you do is you just drill the hole exactly the same diameter as this, so it's really snug. And then all you do is let me show you here, you bend it on the other side. So you can actually shape it any way you want. You can shape it as a hexagon or a square, or like a rectangle shape like this, or anything. You can make it shorter, longer, or what have you. Now I chose to make it this way for right now, and I'll show you the other side here. See, and I made this one. Well, you can't really see that, sorry, it's kind of dark. There you go, like that. So this one was a straight, so you could just cut the wires, I guess that's what you want to call them, to the size you need, and then just bend it so it's real snug so that it doesn't move anywhere. And it's really sturdy, and it's a great thing. So now it looks like I might have to make this into 2 parts. So this is going to be it for this part, and please go ahead and watch the other remaining video and it will give you a little more information. Alright guys, again, please like, share, subscribe, please comment, and please watch my part 2, which will be the final part of this dog playpen video. Alright guys, hope you liked the video and look forward to you seeing the other one, part 2. Alright, God bless and see you in the next one. Bye.